Dark Envoy is about 70% of a great game. This fantasy steampunk cRPG from second-time developer Event Horizon features buttery smooth real-time combat with a tactical pause option, a robust skill system that rewards experimentation, an engaging and heartfelt fully voice-acted story, fan service, and dozens of narrative decisions, each with tangible consequences. Alas, Dark Envoy is also 30% of a terrible game, as its lip sync is among the worst I've ever encountered.
I wouldn't want you to feel forced to.
Its janky cutscenes consistently break player immersion, rebinding keys barely works if at all, and on multiple occasions the game's broken reload save function sent me irreversibly back in time 30 minutes or more.
And I don't like that kind of thing.
And yet, through this whirlwind of jank I persisted, in part because I have truly nothing better to do, and in part because this game's story kind of intrigued me. You are relic hunting siblings Malachi and Kayla from the sandy city of Bones. After designing your characters and grinding through a handful of early game dungeons, Malachi and Kayla, or Michaela, no, M and K, return home to find their desert town a smoldering ruin, caught in the middle of a world war between the steampunky human empire and the League, not that League, a conglomeration of non-humanoid magical races. M and K spend the next 10 or so hours working with and against both the Empire and League in order to find out who sacked their town and turned their lives upside down. Along the way, M and K learn that their intertwined destiny in this war and world is much bigger than they ever could have imagined. It's an interesting plot that injects relatable human drama into large-scale geopolitical conflict, and it's carried by two well-written, likable leads that complement each other well. M and K's supporting cast is made up of a nice variety of personalities, each with their own personal side quest, and while the dialogue is a bit stiff, there's a lot of it, and all of it's at least decently voice-acted with some standout performances. Of course, the real reason you're here is Dark Envoy's excellent tactical real-time combat system that's amplified by a nifty audio slowdown distortion effect. The game's toggleable pause and slowdown feature allows you to take a beat and fully survey the battlefield before linking together some devastating skill combos across your 4 available classes: Warrior, Ranger, Engineer, and Adept, each with 3 elite specializations. I had a great time playing around with each class, and the game lets you reset all skill points at any time, which is a nice touch that encourages experimentation. The only thing holding this combat micrometric back from a 5 is that most enemies feel more or less identical, and all you'll really do this game is kill your way through trash mob after trash mob each dungeon. No puzzles in sight, and there's a disappointing dearth of boss fights, with what's here mostly just amounting to souped up standard enemies. This said, Dark Envoy does feature a stealth mechanic, and once unlocking the Permacloak Ranger skill, you can actually just kind of run past everything, loot all the chests and mine all the nodes right from under their noses, and then teleport the rest of your party to safety. It's a total gimmick, but keep it in mind as your party won't regenerate health between fights until reaching one of these depletable healing towers that are scattered about each level. And if you ever do get wiped and have to reload, well, good luck with that. A handful of familiar non-combat features round out the rest of Dark Envoy. There's crafting, item enhancement and modification, and party-wide buffs you can research, though the per dungeon drops you'll get are pretty generous to the point I never really felt obligated to craft anything. Finally, a few words on style. Dark Envoy's visuals are a mixed bag of decent textures, solid particle effects, and super janky animations. The dungeons themselves have a nice environmental variety to them, but their simple and straightforward level layouts tend to blur together. While the game's half-orchestral, half-electric guitar-driven soundtrack works thematically by bridging the game's fantasy and steampunk aesthetics, the actual music is rather repetitive. And while I like the game's tactical pause audio slowdown effect, a number of other sounds here stood out to me as rough or missing entirely.
Probably wouldn't spread too far though.
In the end, Dark Envoy is a janky yet endearing cRPG that makes up for most of its shortcomings with solid storytelling and satisfying combat. With a 20-hour runtime, I think Dark Envoy presents decent value at $30, so I'm giving it an aggregate megascore of 3.14 out of 5. Until next time, this is Scope, and thanks for watching.